listen, and I hope the food good, and don't let nobody choke on. Amen.
Amen.
Does somebody want to say a prayer, please?
Hey, I said, listen.
Okay. Okay. Welcome, moms of AMG program participants. I want to thank you for coming out. As you know, we have been working with your boys since October, and we can attest that raising boys successfully is a particularly challenging endeavor. And one of the things that our mentoring program wants to do is to provide you some assistance in that endeavor. We meet with the boys, as you know, twice a month, and we do fun things. But I think also, just in talking with a lot of you, this has been a particularly challenging year. And, you know, we know that the boys are going to make mistakes. And we know that, we hope that they will learn from those mistakes. And so I'm just glad that this program was here to be able to help. And just, we just talked in terms of some of these trials and tribulations that a lot of the moms are going through with their boys. But I think one of the other unique things about the program is that we like to bring to you resources in helping you to work with your boys. And this program has been tremendously blessed because we have met and became friends with Mr. Ron Maye. And a lot of the parents here tonight were here last year when he talked. And we'll provide some insights and some guidance on some tips on what to do to raise these boys. Because again, it's not easy to raise these boys. Ron Maye is a child behavioral, he'll say professional, and I'll say expert. And he will provide some very useful, not only ideas, but methodology on what to do and a plan of action, so that you can have the highest assurances or chances that your boy will indeed be successful. Without further ado, I'm going to turn over to Ron Maye. But I also would like to know if the other Curtis Smith wanted to say something, and certainly our judge, who's a mentor on the program. At this opportunity, was there anything you all wanted to say?
We just welcome Brother Maye here.
Okay, and let's give Brother Maye a round of applause.
Well, truly it's an honor and a privilege to be here this evening. Again, I wish my family could be here. I sometimes don't really like to talk to families without you seeing the fruits of my labor. I really take great stock in my children. And one of the things that I do is I live kind of vicariously through my sons. And I believe I gave this testimony on last year. I have 3 sons of my own, a beautiful, loving wife who is very supportive. And one of the things that I asked the Lord for on my last child was a girl. But the Lord didn't give us that. He gave us another son. And this was his words to me. He said, I think something of your manhood, Ron Maye, to allow you to raise these 3 men. When I understood that my sons had purpose and destiny. And I want to tell you today that your sons, these black African-American males that you have the privilege to raise, to train, to develop, have purpose and destiny. And I just want you to say that one time. Just say purpose, and destiny. The scripture says in Proverbs, I believe, let me get the Bible, but I think you know where I'm going. I believe it's 22:6 that says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he won't depart from it. That's a central theme verse that you should use, that it is your responsibility to train and to develop your son, your child. That gift from the Creator. The Bible says that a child is the inheritance of the Lord. And once we understand that, then our view of our sons will be different. Now, I'm going to give some secular techniques to use, but our central foundation, because we're believers, has to be the Word of God. That's where you glean from to be able to raise your sons so that they will be successful. And I promise you that they will be. Somebody say amen tonight. Let's start with this. I want to define the word success. Now, I looked to Webster's dictionary to find out what success was. And success for the Webster dictionary says it's the result that was hoped for and a satisfactory outcome. Let's just listen to that one more time. The result that was hoped for and a satisfactory outcome. Now let's just deal with that for a minute. Well, first, Lord, let me just give you some prayers. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, first of all, we come, we magnify you, we lift you up. We pray right now that you will enlighten the eyes of the understanding of these, your children, as it relates to raising their sons. God, we know we have single parents here. I'm asking that you would move and give them wisdom and insight. I'm asking that you would touch the anointed men. Give them wisdom and insight because they, too, Lord, are helping to raise these young men that they might be successful. God, for this, we give you honor and praise. Now I ask that you would move Ron out the way and allow your spirit to speak to these, your people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. The key word in this definition is hope. You have to see. I always use a word when I talk to young people, and even when I talk to them at the place that we do, we have a living skills thing. And one of the things that I wrote on the chalkboard one time was the word vision. You have to begin to close your eyes and begin to see your son successful. And understand this too, that failure doesn't always mean that it's a failure. Just because there's a mistake does not always mean that there's not going to be growth. But what we got to learn how to do is we got to understand those failures and begin to work them with our children. So the key word here is hope. Have hope and understand and know that your child is going to get to the place that you desire them to be. Just like what I said earlier, that I live vicariously through my children. I do. One of the things I always tell my boys is that in their DNA, that means in their bloodline, is greatness. You got to begin to always begin to just let your children know and give them affirmation all the time about good things. And I know there's some negative things, but highlight the good things. And we're going to be talking about those things. We're going to be talking about how to energize them in their success. We're going to be talking about how to use the credit system. We're going to talk about consequences. And consequences are always so very hard. But understand this, and let me say this real quickly before we even go into this, that with consequences, let that be your last result. But you got to be consistent with your consequences. Got to be consistent with your consequences, but allow that to be your last result. Okay. Now, to understand how to train a successful male, we as parents must understand ourselves and our own limitations and our own weaknesses. And one of the things is a new word that I want to throw out to you is called emotional intelligence. Now that's a funny word. Emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence, Mr. May? What is that? That's understanding yourself as well as your child. That's what emotional intelligence is. You see, if we don't understand ourselves or our value systems, and if we're not consistent with them, then how do we plan on giving them to our children? How do we plan on implementing them to our children? How do we plan on allowing them to see it. We have to be what we want them to be in order for them to be successful. You can't play both sides of the fence. You can't just say, you know, that old saying, do what I say, do not as I do. But no, in the society in which we live in, and with all of the things that our young people are exposed to, you got to do what you say and the way you say it so that they'll see. Because what you do is you create the value system. Are y'all listening to me? I'm trying to tell you, this is life-saving information right here. It's a value system. And you got to get the foundation of it already. You have to create the aura and what's in your home in order for your sons to be successful. It's because one thing about young men, they observe, they watch. And if you deviate 1 or 2 times too many from what you say that you are, you done lost stock. And it's going to be kind of hard to retain that back once you've lost it. Your credibility comes into question, and that's not what you want. So you got to learn how to handle your own emotions. So you're going to have to learn emotional intelligence. You're going to have to mature in that thing. The Bible says to let patience have its perfect work. Another word for patience is maturity. So you got to allow that maturity, that Christian maturity, or just how you are as it relates to your character, to grow up in you and dealing with them. Are y'all listening to me this evening? Sometimes I preach as well as teach something. So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and to respond with sensitivity to one's own feelings and of others, as well as your sons. In other words, know yourself, know your child's behavior, and monitor it. I believe it's 1 Corinthians 11 and 28 that says, but let a man examine himself. You got to begin to just, the first thing in getting a successful child, it has to come from the tree. Because then from the tree, that's where the branch extends from. And a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. Is that not right? Am I in the right place this evening? The tree is known by the fruits that it bears. So then you got to understand and be able to plant the right seeds in your child in order for them to be successful. And you can't deviate from it either. So we have to have emotional intelligence. And I got a footnote here. It says, and at least we understand ourselves and our own successes, we will not be able to monitor our children's success. So if we don't understand our own limitations, our own weaknesses, and understand our own successes, how do we expect our sons to be successful? Or it doesn't even mean just your sons, but your children, period. You can't begin to understand them if you don't understand yourself, because they are a direct reflection of you. That's why you get so upset when you gotta go to school, and you'll say to yourself, I didn't teach you this way. This is not what I expect. But see, we live in a very crucial time right now. There's a virtual attack against our males. It's just a virtual attack against them. And I'm going on. Let's deal with this phase 1. Phase 1 says energizing success. And one of the things that you can't do is reward negative behavior. You got to get to the place where you don't give your energies so easily. One of the hardest things for me was to tell my baby boy, which is the youngest, Corey. He kind of spoiled. And I really hate to tell him no. But I'm learning from his mama, because I can give the techniques, but she's the disciplinary. And that's funny. You would think that I would be the disciplinary in the house because I know all the techniques, I know all the rules. But what I do is I'm more of a standard keeper in our home. I maintain the standard, and Sister May, she does the discipline. And I'm the like parent, and she's the dislike parent. Somebody got to be the bad guy. And I guess the reason why it is like that in our house is because I spend a lot of time away from my children, and their moms spend more time with them. And just like mothers of the day, the father sometimes, when, in a quote-unquote, normal household, when there's a dad, he's out rendering and working and providing for the family. Not saying that my wife doesn't work, she works too. But the thing is she does spend more time in developing them with the things that we put in place. And one of the things you gotta have is a united front. Now, if she tells him no, then what do you think my answer should be? No. It should be no. It should be no. You can't play both sides of the fence. And you got to be careful with your energy. And sometimes we don't want to deal with things that they've done that's negative, but we have to. And we have to do it immediately. Everybody say immediately. All right. So don't reward negative behavior. Get control of our emotion when it comes to negative behavior of our sons. Learn intervention, and that's what you're learning today. You're learning intervention. So it's good. We not only need to train in the church about Christianity and how to live, but we need to learn about parenting and all sorts of things. Mentoring. Sometimes people don't even know how to love. Isn't that something? We'll say the word love, I love you, I love you, I love you all day. But we've really never really expressed or really had real love. And I don't know why that's coming in, Lord, but it's necessary. It's because you got to learn how to love them in spite of. It's because sometimes you get so angry with them, you'll set up some bitterness in your heart, and then you won't be able to give your child the intervention that they need because of that bitterness that you have against that child. And you can't do that. Your love has to override that. I think the scripture says that love covers a multitude of sin. I mean, if God was to deal with us based on the things that we've done, we'd be in trouble, wouldn't we? Somebody talk to me this evening. I tell you. Don't use your energies so much on negative behaviors. And sometimes we do. When they're negative, that's when we give our spiel real quick. Didn't I tell you? We start the lecture. After they got in trouble, I told you not to do such and such. And then you end up whooping, you be more tired than they are getting beat. I know I'm talking to somebody today. I know I'm talking to somebody today. Don't use your energies for that. Use your energies. Use your energies wisely. I'm almost there. And don't let them play you like a PlayStation. Don't let them play you. Stay on top of your males. You don't want to breed lazy men. You don't want to breed men who manipulate women. I used the word last year, pimp. But don't allow them to emotionally use you. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something, mothers, and you might not like this, but you all teach them how to do that. You do. Because we allow them to do certain things that normally that they shouldn't do. Set a standard, and when you got that standard, stick right to it. Don't be bothered with them tears sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that males should cry, because sometimes they should. They should be able to express themselves. Brothers, let me say this just to the young men. It's not is not weak because you cry or express or share something that's bothering or hurting you. One of the things that I told somebody, they asked me about my sons, and I'm praying because I think we're going to be leaving Detroit in a little while. I think the Lord is going to take us away from here. We've been really praying about it. And one of the things that I said, and one of my reasons for leaving Detroit is because I see a lot of hatred in this city towards the African-American male. I'm listening to a sister today that's on 1200 AM, and I won't keep on mentioning her name, but she has something very, always saying something very malicious against the mayor of the city of Detroit. And I think one of the reasons why I have a great deal of respect for the mayor of the city of Detroit is because, first of all, he's a young man. And I know that mistakes are going to happen, and we understood that when he came into office, that there was going to be some frailties with this young man with that much ability and power. But one thing that the mayor gives to our young men is that word that I used earlier that relates to success. And the key word there was hope. That they can do anything that they want to do. Here's this young man who is a product of the city of Detroit, was raised on one of the worst neighborhoods in the city of Detroit, Dexter and Davison, Linwood and Dexter, the hood, with nothing but drugs and everything. But here's a young man that pulled himself up by his bootstraps, got good grades at Cass Tech High School, went to Florida State University, got his degree, was one of the first senators in the House of Michigan. I mean, the Speaker of the House, a young man now, 25 years old, doing this type of stuff. So that type of young man brings hope to the African-American black male. But if we continue to tarnish his image, I'm not saying hide what he do, but some things you got to do discreetly. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? Yeah, we don't want to defame anybody's character. I'm still on the lines of, how to energize that success and not feed into negativity, because we'll do that. We will do that. We will assassinate. Don't assassinate your son's character. If he does something wrong, don't speak about it with everybody. It should be just between you and him and someone who you trust as a male who can speak to him on those lines so that you won't damage him psychologically. It's because we need for our African American males to be confident with what's about to go on in this country. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm almost into a message here because it's just immediate what's going on. These young men have the spirit of a warrior in them, and sometimes when you talk to them a certain way, conflict comes. So mothers, we have to also be careful with even our approach to them. I'm not saying be timid with your son, but I'm saying be mindful that they are a male gender, and things in them will cause them to raise up. Now, my pastor, he's so funny, he said when we used to raise up, our mamas used to call it, they call it a beating, but we used to call it a killing. You know what I'm saying? See, you didn't left it, when you raise up against a mother's brothers, and y'all listen to me real good, because I don't want you to get a killing. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Don't raise up to get a killing. Sometimes it's all right for a beating, but don't you get no killing, because if your mama got to kill you, you in trouble. So I know that's good teaching. So we don't want them to play this. When they see games like Nintendo, watch them how they play those games. Sometimes sit with them. I know that you got a lot of stuff going on, you'll be doing things around the house, but sit and play with them. You'll find out that the rules of the game are just like life. They just like life. And sometimes the more intense the child is in his negative behavior, you'll find out that that's a kid that can really play the game because they got so much passion in them to succeed. And they have to succeed at something. They figure that they fail at everything else. But this one thing I can conquer. And you got to begin to monitor them. You got to begin to just watch them and watch what they're doing and how they do it. Take an interest, take some time. And don't always let it it be during the times that you got conflict, because we give the most time when it's a conflict issue. Think about it. The most quality time that you spend, if you really be honest, if you're really honest with yourself, is during the time of conflict. Most of the time, the yelling is going on, and you're trying to get their attention. But then that's the time that we don't ever get their attention, because they tune us right on out. Yada, 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 yada. That's all you're saying to them. It's not registering. It's not touching that heart. And that's what you want to get. Because if you can get that heart, then you got it. Don't ever think that sons don't love their mothers, because they do. They will kill for their mothers. They will do it. They love you guys. But if we want them to be successful, then there's certain things that we're going to have to learn to do. And we're going to have to do a reevaluation of ourselves. It is difficult sometimes. And we might not even like how we look. You might say, man, am I that person? So, one of the things about those games is a structure. And I'm not telling you things that you don't already know. You might already be doing it, but this is just to kind of encourage you more. You need to have a structured program in that house. In our home, when those children get home from school, one of the first things they have to do is they have to take off those shoes at the door. They have to go up to their rooms, take off their school clothes, put on their pajamas, and then they go to the table and they do their homework. Even if it's no homework, they have to do something. It's because we can put things in place because we have a standard. Everybody say standard. And then with the standard comes values. Everybody say value. Listen, those are the things that you're going to have to put in place. You got standards and you got values. And you cannot deviate one iota from them. You cannot deviate. I promise you, you can't deviate from them. Because if you do, it destroys your credibility with your sons, and then you have a hard time getting them back. There's no way in the world Christopher or Romeo can walk into the house with their pants hanging down off their behind. And believe me, Romeo has tried it. And every time he is redirected and he is given consequences. Right there. No television for you, and please don't think you're going to go outside tomorrow. You just messed that up. Because you know, we don't, well, I was just running up. No. I don't care if you was just running up the stairs. Your pants should never be off your behind, because you know the standards and the values that we have in this house. Do y'all hear me? And if you do, see, you got to do, males are warriors. And warriors like instructions. They like discipline. Don't think that your son don't like discipline. Yes, they do. Sometimes you will get a guy, I promise you, that is one of the worst guys in the world, get in trouble all the time. I promise you, you take a guy like that and you put him in the armed services, he will rise to the occasion. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. He will rise to the occasion. I love my former pastor, Pastor Griffin, because he kind of had that type of mentality with us. He had a bunch of young preachers, and man, we come from all different backgrounds and everything. But one of the things is he had a certain standard, and we did not deviate from it. Did we not do it? And we were some of the most well-trained males in our whole jurisdiction. They looked at it, they like, them Rose of Sharon boys really got it going on, because our pastor did not deviate. And I love that from him. And so I gleaned that kind of saying, now I understand why the Creator had me there, because he knew that days like this would be coming. He knew that I would be speaking to males. He knew that I would be speaking to mothers and thousands of others. I mean, I speak so much sometimes, it's something. But I'm grateful for the opportunity because of my experiences. So I don't allow anything to kind of get past me. I understand what my purpose and my destiny is, and that's that's why I'm sharing with you. You, as parents, got to begin to see. If you see that your son is gifted in a certain area, then you need to cultivate that. You need to build on it. You need to get excited about it because they excited about it. And we need to get out of this, that our sons, just because they like arts and crafts, or they want to do other things other than just bounce that ball. Sometimes it's got to be more knowledgeable than just physical. It's okay. It's because we always tell them to get a football in their hands because the boys can go into pros and make $90 million. That's some good money. But what about self-worth? What about being happy about what they're doing? Even if they only making $20,000 a year. Even if they only making $30,000 a year. But they happy. And you need to encourage that. We're talking about building success. It ain't always about money. It's about happiness. It's about having your child there to love and to cultivate them and know and get the best out of them. Being proud of what they do, no matter what they do. But if they love it, hey man, if your son want to play volleyball, that's a good thing. Ain't no girls' game. You got to have vision to be able to do something like that. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So structure. I put in here, I put in my notes, define the word structure. And it says the way in something is put together or built or planned. The way something is put together, built, or planned. And here's that word again, vision. Scripture says to write your vision plain upon the table, that man might see it, that they might see it and run. So in other words, recognize your child's, your son's gifts and his talents. Hey, ask them, hey baby, where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? What do you want to do? What would you like to do? And when they tell you that, start steering them in that direction. Christopher came to me and said, Dad, I want to be a lawyer. And then after that, when I become a lawyer, I want to become a judge. So you know I'll be talking with you. That's what my boy told me. You know, that's my friend back there. He's a judge. And I need to understand the steps in order to take my son. I already realized one of the first things he has excellent study habits. I know you have to be studied and read as a judge. So I understand that part. You follow what I'm saying? You see the structure that I'm setting? And once you get them in that type of mindset, once you get them to thinking on those lines, then you're going to see growth. I promise you'll see it. And then when you see it, magnify it. Magnify it. I mean, tell everybody about it. Let them hear you talking on your phone. Instead of talking about what they do negative on the phone, girl, you know, such and such, he was doing this. But when he do something good, yeah, they be like, oh, she always tooting her home about her kids. So that's your baby. That's your son. You want him to be successful. You want him to be the man that you know that he can be. Then you need to begin to continue to build on that and magnify what he do when he's with it. And I put here plan. I got the definition of plan. Y'all listen to this. A method or a way of doing something that has been thought out ahead of time. You got to plan. I'm planning on Ramel and Christopher and Corey to be successful. I watch my boys, and you're going to hear me talk about them tonight because I told you that I live vicariously through them. I watch my sons. I watch Corey, who is a very inquisitive 4-year-old, watch his brothers on the computer. They would never let him play on the computer. And he watched them and studied them. And one day, I watched him get up there and click and turn that computer on. I said, son, you want to learn this? And Corey's able to articulate himself very well. He got it honestly. So he said, yeah, Dad, I want to learn how to do that. So we got him on the computer, learned him how to pull up the application. Corey will get on the computer, turn it on. And I mean, he asks every day, can he get on the computer and play? I don't let him get on things like the internet, but we got applications on the computer screen so he can play his games. He plays the children games, he plays we have the, what do you call it, the reading blaster, the math blaster, probably can't do on that computer is type. But give him to about 6 or 8 years old. I promise you he'll be doing that too. Because we got a typing program on the computer. You see what I'm saying? Just allowing them and knowing that they're inquisitive. And one of the things I found out about Corey is he's a great storyteller. He will sit and tell stories to me and his mother. So that's letting me know that we got a writer in the midst. You follow what I'm saying? But if you don't pay attention and if you don't monitor your children, guess what you do? You miss those things. And so we highlight, me and his mother sit and just let him talk about whatever. So tell us about the girl. Well, she walked over across the street. You know, it is crazy and it sounds out the way, but he's creating a story in his mind. You guys follow me? And so if you hear your children and you see them writing or making their thoughts and putting them on, or they want to be rappers, it's okay. I know sometimes we don't like the rappers because we know what they all about. They got their the bling bling. Man, it drives me crazy with Romeo. But I have to allow them to be able to express that. Because then I have other fights that I'm going to have. And I told you before that you got to pick those type of fights. Y'all follow me? So we got to plan. So we got to think ahead. Parents, we got to be proactive, not reactive. We got to be proactive when it comes to our sons if we don't want to lose them. There's a wonderful book that's out. It is old, but it's a wonderful book. It's by Dr. Kajufu. Let me spell his name for you because I really want you to get this book. Dr. Kajufu's name is spelled J-A-W-A-N-Z-A, and his last name is spelled K-U-N-J-U-F-U. And he wrote this book called How to Counter the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Males. Let me say it one more time. He wrote a book on how to counter the conspiracy to destroy black males. One of the things that Dr. Kajufu said is that we lose our black males around the 4th grade. And what we need to start doing, and I know probably some of your sons are past that right now, but one of the things that he says is that we need to begin to monitor our sons. And I was talking to Curtis about that today, that we might need to start a little earlier. And he kind of sighed because it's difficult kind of dealing with the young ones because you got to try to get them focused. But these are crucial times that we live in, and if we want our males to be successful and we want them to be here, then we got to get them early. One of the statistics is that they spend $23,000 on Head Start, and they spend $38,000 on prisons. You do the math. You do the math. And I think it might be a little more than that now. That was back in the 90s. We lose them at the 4th grade, guys. Because they don't want to be, even if your boy is smart, he don't want to be labeled as a nerd. That's something that I'm dealing with right now. Now, my boy Romeo gets all straight A's and B's. But his citizenship is horrible. It's because the guys pick at him. First of all, he's a big fella. My son is 10 years old. He about right up to me right now. He loves playing basketball. And he's gifted at basketball. And I can see that. But one of the things that I don't want him just to be able to do is just bounce a basketball. He is an adamant mathematician. He can crunch numbers very good. So you know what I'm doing as a father? I'm gearing him in the ways of engineering. And he is in the 4th grade. He in the challenging stages right now. So a lot of my time and focus is on him. So I got to go to the park even though I'm an old man. I might not look old, but Lord, I went out there to play some ball with my boy and my back was tearing me up. I said, that's some things you need to leave alone. But I gotta go out there and spend that time with my son so that he won't be influenced by nothing else. It's because the other boys, they'll get with him and he'll get to running his mouth like they do. And then I'm gonna have to knock him down, and I don't want to do that. I want to be proactive, not reactive. Y'all follow what I'm saying? So we need to begin to monitor our sons around in that area. Now you got adolescents, so you see a lot of their behaviors right now. And really there's nothing that you can do to really kind of offset or change that, but you can give interventions. And sooner or later, they're going to gravitate to it. Sooner or later, they're going to get the picture. Sooner or later, they're going to understand. But again, it's that word, consistency, and setting a standard and having values and not deviating from it. One of the things that Dr. Kawanza Kajufu said was that the most crucial time and stage in black male's life is from 0 to 9, 9 to 13, and 13 to 18. Those are the crucial years. He said if we could get them at 0 to 9 and start our interventions then, we have more of a chance of our children being successful. When they get to 9 to 13, you don't see too many behaviors, but you do see some. But when you get 13 to 18, that's a whole nother monster in itself. And then what are you to do? You know, that's why I got some of the questions here. You know, hey, Mr. Mays, when is enough is enough? I'm ready to put this boy in a home. I'm ready to get him out of my house. He is tearing up my stuff. He will not listen. He does not obey. What do? What intervention can you do for that? And mother, all I can say is, and I looked and I pondered, and all I can say is touch God's heart. Amen. It's something about a mother when she begins to talk to God about her children that will change that situation. I promise you, if you do that, then the Creator has to come in. It's because at that age and at that stage, you're not changing 16 or 13 or 14 or 15 years of behavior. That stuff is already set up in there. And so then you can't change that. So these are the crucial years that you need to get right on top of and understand and be in their business. Don't be afraid to go in their stuff. I think I talked about that last year. Get in their business. Find out what they're doing. Find out who they're talking to. They can't have no friends that you don't know. And don't let them use the word friend loosely. That ain't your friend. Do you know his parents? Do I know his parents? That you need to know. Get in their business. Listen, ain't no way in the world. Chris brought some things into the house and said his friends gave to him. You know what I told him? Take them back. Take it back. You don't get no gifts that I don't give you. I'm not saying don't accept no gifts, but there's a time and place for that. Birthdays. You know, and we don't do Christmas in our house. But we do celebrate birthdays. I celebrate the birth of my children. I celebrate the birth of my wife. I'm glad she's here. She gave me them 3 beautiful children that I have. So I celebrate that. But I'm not going to celebrate nothing that ain't got to do with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's just me. Now, whatever you choose to do, you choose to do that. Because that's the standard that you have in your house. But I'm like Joshua, and that's the attitude that you got to have. You got to say, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Yeah, you got to choose. You got to make a decision, son. Don't just ask your sons if they want to go to church. Bring them to church. And then we got to be consistent with doing that because they need to have godliness put down inside of them. That's what offset that mean spirit, that evilness that we got in this society. It's a spirit. That any time that we got a city where over 90 folks get killed in 90 days, you know there's an issue. There's a problem. And it was more males than anything. So we got to really begin to cover our children. We got to begin to cover our sons. And we got to expose them to other things and try to get them away. I usually try to do something each holiday that we off. I usually try to take my children to another state. Let's go to Ohio. Let's go to New York. Let them see some things. Somewhere that we ain't got to catch no plane, we can drive 4, 5, maybe 10 hours. That's all right. Get on that road. Let them see something different other than this city. So that their mind can become global. Y'all follow what I'm saying? If you want successful men, you got to expose them something other than this city. Because once they see this, sometimes it's corrupt. And they see a lot of stuff torn down. Take them somewhere that's beautiful, like Atlanta. Y'all hear what I'm saying? It's easy to see negative behavior at ages 13. It's hard to see at 9 and 13. Black males don't want to be labeled as smart guys. They don't want to be labeled as nerds or intelligent at this age, at that age, 3rd, 4th. Man, what you mean a nerd? But you got to begin to show them that being a nerd is okay. I tell my sons all the time, you see them guys that's acting foolish, they're going to be the same cats. When you driving your nice car, going to your nice home, asking you, can I get a quarter?
That's right.
You got 50 cents? You got $1? But you got money. I'm teaching my boys right now about the value of money, about good credit, because I didn't have any. I done worked on it now. It's a little better, but I'm teaching them value about one of the first things I'm teaching them about land ownership. I'm going to help them purchase their first home. I'm going to do that for them because those are my children. I want to establish in them wealth. That's what we got to start. Don't you know that's what folks who don't look like us do to their children? They teach them how to establish wealth early. And it ain't nothing wrong with being wealthy because these young boys want to be paid. They see all of them folks driving them Bentleys and having that bling bling, they want it too. And it ain't nothing wrong with them wanting that type of stuff. But we got to teach them how to get it the right way. And so we got to have intervention early. We got to have the techniques early. And you know you need to pray. God knows you need to do that. God knows you need to see God. Father, I stretch my hand to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraw thyself from me, whither shall I go? That's got to be your attitude as it relates. You got to get to the young lady right here. You got to get to the horns of that altar in your house, at your bedroom, and say, Lord, help me with these babies. It's just me and them. And go forward. And I promise you, you'll be okay. So they don't want to be labeled as intelligent. And because they realize that they won't be respected by their peers if they do that. But you got to begin to be the one that they respect other than their peers. That's why I talked about standards and values. If they got those standards and values and you teach them to be leaders and not followers, no, you a leader. You stand at front. You special. They need to be like you. You the man. Yeah, stroke their egos. And you know men like their ego stroke. My wife strokes my ego all the time. That's why I walk and act the way that I do. And as confident as I am on my job. Because I got a wife when I come home that serves me and take care of me. Sister Williams seen me tonight, she said, Elder Maye, your face is getting so fat and cheap. That's because I'm being loved. Y'all hear what I'm saying? When she saw me, I was a skinny boy. I got some meat on me now, Curtis. Hello, somebody. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm not saying that he's the man of the house. And he can't be your man. Most definitely he can't be that. But that is your child. That is your son. And you got to build. Men love their ego stroke. I know I do. You got to stroke my ego. I'm depending on you to do it. Tell me that I look nice today. Because I'm going to tell you you look fine. So that's okay. So then, when that time comes, and you got to begin to have conflict with your with your sons, that's when your emotional intelligence kick in. Another word for emotional intelligence, and y'all know it, y'all been using it all the time, you don't even know it. It's called mother wit. Y'all heard that before? Yeah, mother wit. That mother wit is something else. That's all it is emotional intelligence. I've never seen my mother really have to raise her voice one time to get her sons to do anything that she wanted them to do. She was very settled in her approach to about things. And if she wanted done, she was just like, son, even now, you know, I haven't seen you in a while. She ain't fussing with me, I ain't seen you, ain't come see me. No, I haven't seen you in a while. I said, all right, Mom. And when I come see you, I don't be empty-handed again. Hello, somebody. That's emotional intelligence. She trained her son, she ain't never been to school. She ain't been to nobody's college. And I don't think she got out of school, probably, you know, they come from down south. My mama, feet about this thick, because she didn't walk with no shoes on. She don't barely like them now. I'll buy some shoes or some pumps. She'll be like, boy, what are you doing? You might as well take them back, because you know I ain't gonna wear them. I just want you to wear them to church, Mama. You know, okay, I'm gonna wear them this one time. And she'll give them to one of my sisters. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing is that just how they do. It's your approach to your child. If you want the best out of them, then you got to recognize you first. Because the problem ain't always them. It could be us. And sometimes we don't want to hear that.
But it's true.
I thought this was going to be hard tonight, Lord. You must be working it out. So we got that mother taking a stand. That's the next thought. I know this is taking a while, but this is credible information. It is going to help you to get through. I promise you it will if you use it. Taking a stand that will produce change. And what I got up under that is called family values. I talked about that a little, but you got to have family values in place. What is expected, what applies to everyone, starting with us. It's got to start with you. Because if it doesn't start with you, how in the world do you think it's going to get across to anybody else? How is it going to get across to your sons? What the standards are, if you never put them in place. Now what you got to do is you got to reevaluate. You got to find out what standards are we going to have? How are we going to live? Are we going to smoke in the house? Are we going to drink in the house? Are we going to have any old type of music in the house? We got to set a standard, and we can't deviate from it. If you say ain't no rap music in the house, don't let it be. If you're going to let rap music be in the house, let it be. But let it be on your terms. I think I shared last year that I let my boys listen to some music. They have to listen to the clean version. It's because that's the society they live in. I would rather have them listen to rap music in their own room in the house where I could see them than them listening to rap music somewhere with their friends smoking weed or using crack cocaine. Y'all follow what I'm saying? You got to pick your fights. Now I'm a Christian male and I'm a preacher. But I'm learning that there are certain things that I need to do with my children. And I believe if I train them up in the way that they should go, and I live a life before them, some of the things that I was doing when I was their age, you see, we forget that we wasn't there 20 years ago. That we were doing the same things, but we expect them to be holy wonders when they come up out of the womb. When we know they was born in sin and shaped in iniquity just like we were, but we so soon forget where we came from, and then we can't help them because we so self-righteous because we ain't sinned in a long time. Hello, somebody. So it starts with us. We must become the standard in order for our sons to respect the standards that we put in place. You got to be the standard. You got to be. Living epistle read of me. I know I'm going back to the Bible, but that's the only thing I don't know. If you get Mr. Maye, you're going to get preaching. You understand that? Amen. I'm going to give you these secular techniques, but you're going to get this Bible too. Amen. Standard number one. Y'all write these down. You got to have it. Standard number one. Refuse to be drawn in to energizing negativity. Let me say it one more time. Standard number one. Refuse to be drawn in to energizing negativity. Don't use your energy for nothing negative. If they clowning and acting a fool, let them have their space, and then give your spiel. But see, you should have been already doing that in the beginning, because if the foundation and the standard's been set, then that's something that you ain't got to worry about. Standard number 2. Refuse not to pull your child into his success. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't get mad. Don't get frustrated. Pull them into their success. Let them know that they're going to be successful. You're going to be successful leaving this house, because you're not going to be here for 30 years. You're going to get out of here. I'm going to make it real uncomfortable, Kurt, for Chris and Romeo. Believe me, and Corey, I'm going to make it real uncomfortable. Sister Williams, he probably be coming to see you, because it's going to be uncomfortable around 19 or 20. Got to go up out of there. Either you're going to go to school, but you out of here, because the standard has already been set that they're going to college. I already got Christopher in a mindset for Morehouse University. I look at him, you're a Morehouse man. You got to begin to tell him that. I'm looking at this young man right here. He look like Morehouse material. You don't hear me. Right there. That Morehouse material. Looks like he's a very bright individual. I can just tell. I can see it on him. Got great potential in your son. Stay right there. Stay right there. So refuse not to pull them into their success. Number 3. Here are the rules. Here's what's happening when the rules are broken. Here are the rules. And here's what happens when the rules are broken. That means swift consequences. Swift. If they break a rule, consequence. If they do something good, amplify it. Get on the mic and brag about it. Whatever minute it is. If you done told them a million times to put the seatbelt on and they ain't put it on, but if they put the seatbelt on without you telling them, amplify it. Good job. You put that seatbelt on and I ain't even have to tell you today. Y'all follow what I'm saying? It might be minute to you, but it's a success for them. And so once they get a little success, then they're going to want more success. Y'all see what's happening here? You see the foundation? You see what's happening? We building on it because that's what we want. We want them to be successful. So you got to start with little successes. I was reminded of the story of how they used to train the big old whale Shamu. And you know when you go to SeaWorld, you'll see Shamu jump through that big old hoop out of the water, don't you? How do you think they got him to do that? Well, they took it up under the water first, and then he jumped through the hoop, and they praised him for it. They took it up a little higher, and they praised him for it. And so by the time they got it out of the water, look at Shamu. Boom! And everybody like, woo! But they didn't know the steps that it took to get Shamu there. Just like they don't see the steps that's going to get your son there. But you will know the steps. You will know. And so then you magnify. Techniques to energize success is our next point. Techniques to energize success. I'm going to call these the Kodak moment, the Polaroid moment, and the Camion moment. These are all cameras. The Kodak moment is stretched like this. It says, watch and describe and document what you see out loud. That means when you see your son doing something that's positive, then just begin to talk about that. Talk about it if the person, if you had a blind companion, somebody who can't see it. And sometimes the sons, at that time, when you share with them, can't see the successes. But you see, because they blind to it. They don't know what you're doing. And actually, you're kind of manipulating them into being successful. Y'all follow what I'm saying? The next point is, well, let me read a little more about the Kodak. It says, a Kodak moment is felt as being loved and cared for. And most importantly, it is registered inside that your son is registering on his inside that he is successful. That's what the Kodak moment does. When you begin to amplify or talk about their successes, and you begin to document. You know, that even when they bring home a science project that they did well on, hey, put it up somewhere. Get you a glory wall. Make a glory wall of what your sons do. However minute that it might be, but it wasn't minute to them, it's because they worked on it. And you should praise them for that. The Polaroid approach. It says, appreciate the qualities that what you see grow. If you see any spurt of growth anywhere, just like with the seatbelt on, magnify it. Make sure that it's done. Make sure that it's talked about. I'm going to try to move on here fast. The canon, energize when the rules are broken. And you know, the canon is the big one, because that always deals with consequences. And then you got to have, sometimes rules are challenging. And sometimes that word no is a hard word to go through. You know, when you get a challenge it's hard sometimes to tell them no. It's because we feel like we need to give them everything that we didn't have. But if we do that, then we spoil them, and then they won't appreciate nothing. One of the things that I watched a relative of mine do to her children was that she gave them everything. But one of the things that I don't do for Christopher and Romeo is I don't buy them expensive shoes. And we haven't done that to them. We haven't spoiled them that way. They happy with the Shaqs that we buy. Now, we could buy them Jordans. We could buy them those things because me and my wife, we make decent money. But we didn't want to spoil them, you know, and give them all of that stuff, and then they don't appreciate that. Because then if they don't appreciate it, then you can't see no growth. Now, if they work real hard towards something, then they're not going to reward them with that. And then what they do, they appreciate it, and they'll keep it longer. But if you buy it, they don't appreciate it. They're going to tear them up. You look 2 weeks later, didn't I just buy them shoes? They look horrible on your feet. You done it. I've done it. But we learn. And so we teach them those things so that they'll have a better value. I told you, you set the standards and the values in your home. Sometimes you got to say no. No, you can't get them shoes. Why can't I have them? Explain to them. Look, we just can't afford them. You know, you ain't got to be afraid because you can't buy something. Well, you know, that doesn't make you no less. That does not make you no less of a parent because you can't get it. No, we can't do it. We got to have food in the refrigerator. We need to have lights on. You like running water? Because you know what? If we don't pay those bills, guess what? You ain't going to have nothing to drink. Ain't going to be no lights. Ain't going to be no heat. And it get cold in this house. You know we don't turn that heat. I don't turn my heat on until about 75. And that's in the winter. Get these blankets. It's a hard house to heat. And I got to pay the mortgage. Let's talk plain. Teach them the value of what's going on. You teaching men. You got to look to the future. You got to see. You got to write that vision on the table so that they can see and have an understanding. And then they'll be better stewards. And then they'll be better able to take care of you, mama.
Amen.
I'm training my sons to take care of their mother. Care nothing about me. As long as I'm here, she gonna get took care of. But when my time comes and the Creator calls me into question, I got to leave men that's going to be able to take care of that beautiful wife that the Creator gave me. And I want them to be able to take care of her real good. And one of the responsibilities that I gave Christopher most of all is take care of your mama. No matter what your brothers are doing, which I know Romeo and Corey are going to do that, but the charge has been given to Christopher is because he's tenderhearted towards his mother. My other two boys, they cling to me. But Christopher's tenderhearted towards his mother. He washes her feet. He lotions her feet. He takes good care of his mama, comb her hair. Now somebody will say that's almost, you know, homosexual tendencies, but the devil is a liar. And I don't care, I don't want my boys to be hard. I don't want your sons to be hard. It's because if they hard, people will hate them and hurt them. I want them to be soft. I want them to be nerds so that they can be smart and they develop and help other males just like I am. I'm soft, but I'm hard for the Lord. You better be careful. Touch not my anointing to do my prophets no harm. Somebody say amen in this house. Dr. Amen. Creative recognition, amplifying the good choices that they make. Teach them how to make good choices, and they'll be good men. And that's what I mean by letting them emotionally pimp you. You know, you got to be creative. Don't let them run no negativity. Don't let them run no game on you. Because the big payoff for them is when you using your energy negative instead of using it positive. That's the payoff curve. That's what emotional pimp is. When they try to get all of your energy and they get it out of you like PlayStation 2 or Atari or Nintendo, when they got you almost cussing. And you know you say, but you ready to knock their head off and say something different. But you got to pull yourself back and you got to reevaluate who you are so that they can be successful. Do y'all hear what I'm saying this evening? I'm about to close. Because there's so much more information I can give you. And we may have to just take it and you might have to call me back a little earlier. Maybe we might need to do it 2 times out of the year. It's because I just really scratched the surface of things that we could have talked about. The more intense the child, the more intense the intervention. The more intense the child is aggressively towards you, the more intervention you got to give. Whether it be consequences, whether it be affirmation, building them up, you got to be consistent and see God in everything that you do, and I promise you that you will be successful. Amen. I'm finished.
Hey, Ron,
yes, sir.
We got a few minutes if you want to entertain some questions.
I really would. Yes, ma'am.
My son, he's a good son. He's a born-again believer, and I thank God for it. I really don't have any problems with him, except for he get an A in math. That's it. The rest of his grades are not so well, but I know he can do a lot better. And he has a lot of peer pressure in school, and people are telling him, oh, your grades are good for a boy. You know?
Right.
And I told him that's not true, because I know he can do better. It was one why he was making all A's.
Right.
And now his grades has
What grade is he in now?
7.
See, yeah, that's the stage. Remember I said 9 to 13? He ain't telling you, but he don't want to be labeled as a nerd. He not telling you, but because you already told on yourself, because he said he was getting straight A's. Dr. Kwanzaa Kajufu, that's why I want you to get that book, The Conspiracy to Destroy, How to Counter the Conspiracy to Destroy the Black Male. Dr. Kwanzaa Kajufu said that they did a testing on a young male that was at the 98th percentile in the country, African American. Out of everybody in the country, 98% in math and reading and everything. By the time he got to the 7th grade, he was at 24%. By the time he got 18 years old, he was at, I think, 1.3 or something. Just dropped. Why? Because of pressure. It's because it ain't cool. You know what they gear towards? They gear towards physical play. You know, they get the athletes everything. But when it comes to the smart guys, what do they get? Yeah, they get to be valedictorian. They get to speak. But what type of monies do they get? What type of, you know, and that's why I'm saying that, you know, you set the value system in your home. And don't worry about it. Find out, you know, just sit with them. And sooner or later, and I'm sharing that because he knows that what I'm telling you is right. Get back to what you was doing. Get back to what you was doing. Do not allow your peers to dictate to you what you're going to be. Don't let them do that. They don't define who you are. You define who you are. You understand me? All right. Come on, give the Lord a hand for that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a grandson that I raised, and he displays a lot of anger
Mm-hmm.
and violent
Mm-hmm.
behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time getting him to express to me what he's angry about
Mhm.
and actually what he's feeling
Mm-hmm.
inside. Do you have any things
Had-
to
Had you had him psychologically tested?
He said psychological testing and psychiatric testing
Mhm.
because we're trying to determine now if this is medical problem,
Mhm.
if there's some mental issues here, or if this is behavior.
Right.
And right now he's going through some of those testings
Mhm.
to see if there's social anxiety,
Right.
childhood depression,
Right.
and things of that sort.
Right. So what you're doing the right things, and you have to let them do that to find out what the issues are. It's because there is an underlying issue there. It's because you say he's bent on having anger. The only way that can be found out is if you have them tested. Now, I know we don't like to hear that because when we feel like we get our kids psychologically tested, we think that they're crazy. And that ain't it all at all. I mean, a lot of us need therapy for the lives that we've led, especially as black people. We've been up under a lot of oppression. And I don't know you as grandmother, and are you raising him?
I've had him since he was 2. He lost his mother to domestic violence.
You see what I'm saying? So even though he's young, and he knows that. So there's an outlet of anger because he probably in his heart, I'm just saying, I'm not for sure, but he could be saying that, he wants to hurt that guy who took his mother away from him. That's a very hurtful thing for a son to have the woman who brought him into this earth away from him. And not saying that the grandmother isn't a wonderful thing, but there's nothing like mother. You know what I'm saying? So just be patient with him because he is angry. How old is he?
He's 14.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And he's at.
He's displaying a lot of violent behavior.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's changed. It looks like in the last 2 years, it's changed from just that anger and not being, not smiling a lot to actual, violent behavior.
Do you think he's using drugs at all?
No, I've had him tested for that.
Mm-hmm.
But one day he was, acting strange, and I told him, I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna take you to the crisis center and have you tested.
That's all right. That's the way to do it.
And I took him right in, and we haven't determined any, drug usage, but his behavior is just. I had to have him placed in residential treatment.
And maybe, because, and I'm not going to say for her, that's not for everybody, but for you because you're a grandmother, and it's kind of difficult to keep up with a teenage male. I mean, especially 14, 15, and 16. If you can't go get him to go to school, residential sometime is a good place. I mean, he can always come with you on the weekend. I know you probably, every chance he gets to come home, you allow him to. So, and they don't work on, and you get them in a place where they'll help him with those behaviors. It's because that's the field that I came from. Working with those kids, with those we call his type of kid an emotionally impaired kid. And they can be smart as all outdoors, but they have tremendous anger problems. And sometimes their anger problems, they have to have an outlet. Sometimes you don't have what we had. We had a steel, a brick, what we call timeout room. And those kids could go to the steel door, and those kids could go in there and yell and scream and kick. But if he's yelled and screamed with all of that strength that he has at your home, he'd tear your house up. Y'all follow what I'm saying? So you're doing the right things, and don't feel guilty because you had to go that route. That's what I sense from you. That you're like, man, did I do all that I needed to do? Or what else could I have done? There was really nothing else that you could have done. And, and maybe as he was younger, you could have probably, if you would have known earlier, that's why I said earlier, y'all hear me? the crucial time is from 0 to 9. If you would have known what you know now, you would have probably already had him seeing a psychiatrist and things, because those are things that needed to be dealt with that was never dealt with. And so now we can see the behavior. We couldn't see it when he was a baby, when he was doing little stuff. We'd be like, oh, that's so cute. He busted a cat upside the head, but we think that's funny. You see what I'm saying? It's funny to us. But to the kid, they express it. Exactly. He has to release. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm having trouble with my son. Well, he doesn't think that he has a problem, but I do. He was very forgiveful in doing his chores and everything. I'm a single parent. I'm raising him by myself. And his father is in prison. I don't know, he's 13. His father been in jail since he was 10. I mean, 14 years, so since he was about 4. So I don't know if he's having a problem. I don't know what's wrong. He says he just forgets to do his chores. If he gets to do his homework, he feel like doing it when he feel like it. If he feels, you know, if I beat him down, then he'll do it. If he get fussed at, then he'll do it. But it's to the very end, he's not going to. And his only excuse is, I forgot. I don't know. He's not. He's very smart. I can't attest to what you said as far as going down in grades since now he's in 8th grade. And I can see where he used to be really wanting to express himself as far as his grades. Right. Now, that's not true, but I think it's because the other kids like that dumb. He want to act dumb with the other kids.
Exactly.
And if you get teased, if you can write or express more, you know, because the teacher says he's a good writer, and he write weird, like to me or something. I think that's what the other kids enjoy than what he really can do. So I guess what my problem is, I mean, I don't know, I haven't evaluated it yet, but I don't know if he's really, if I ask him about his father, he's saying, well, no, that don't bother me, I don't, you know, whatever. But
you got to understand the male species, we're a very reserved creature. And certain things he might share with his boys that he might not share with you. And I know some mothers got that relationships that their sons will tell them everything. And it seems as though that you and him have a good relationship. But what I sense, huh?
He don't tell me he's saying nothing wrong.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong. I just don't feel like I'm just not doing it. I just forgot.
Right.
You know, that's the tug of war we're going through. Him just being obedient, doing the things he's supposed to do, and messing with stuff and tearing stuff up,
Listen,
light matches.
You know what my suggestion would be to you is don't leave until he gets them done. Don't.
That's hard being a single mother.
Right. I know you got a lot of things to do.
I'm at work. And if
Right.
I'm not at it, I mean,
well then.
Well, I was just saying, don't leave until he, what you're saying is basically watch him do
Yeah,
it.
you got to stop.
That's when it happens, is when I turn around.
You know
and
what?
watch him.
I'm going to tell you something. You know how I learned to do my chores? Even when I didn't do them, guess what my mom would do?
What?
And I know y'all going to remember this because your moms did it too. When we didn't wash those dishes that night, we got woke up out of the bed. We got woke up out of the bed. And we had to not only wash those dishes that was in the sink, she pulled everything out of the cabinet. And we had to wash them too. And then I understood that I needed to do my chores. You don't hear me. But you better start doing it. You better start. Don't be soft on him. You can't be. I know. I don't believe that.
And I don't have that problem where you said the spoiling thing. I don't have that at all. I want to be nicer to him, but I feel like I can never be nice to him or be, you know, like other people say they spoil their kids and can't tell them no. I can say no, really.
Right.
Yes, is what I'm having a problem with.
Right. The whole thing is now you do got something that you got to work on, but then too, even in the parts where it's good, amplify. Remember I said use that word amplify. You know, grease him down with that. You know, baby, you sure doing good in school. You know, it's okay. It's okay to tell him that he's doing good in this area. And then during the times that y'all down, talk about the areas that you need growth in. Talk about that, you know, son. You know, and tell him the reason why you're trying to teach him to have a good, clean house. It's because one day he's going to have a house of his own. And he's going to want to entertain. And he needs to know how to clean and be able to cook. Hey, don't not teach your children how to cook food. Don't teach them now how to be self-sufficient. You know, we kind of spoil them. I mean, I was spoiled rotten too because I couldn't cook a lick. You know, I had a lot of sisters and my mama then took real good care of me, and I had to find a wife that could cook. Amen. So that was where my blessing came in, and I'm sharing with you. If he don't do them chores, I don't care if he knocked out snoring and look like it, wake him up. Get him out that bed and do you his mama. What he gonna do? Because he know he gonna get knocked out if he get crazy. You look like you're knocking out. I'm scared over here. So hey, handle your business when it comes to him. That's the intervention that I can see, whereas you got to go with him. If it's not a school issue, then build on that. Build on where, and tell him why he got to clean up and why it's necessary. Because those are the standards that you have in the house. The standard that you got in the home is we got to have a clean house. I don't want no roaches and rats and mice up in here. And you didn't say that before. See, you looking at him like, yeah, see, I know how to fix your nerve. So we got to teach. We got to teach, and you doing all right. Any other questions? Y'all talk to me. I'm the man. Yes, ma'am.
Change the sneaking and the lying. It's a lot of that.
Yes,
Ooh.
that's it.
Jesus help us. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to tell you something. That you're going to have to talk to the Lord. It's because I have to work, you know, again, I will say this. Let them know that telling the truth is a good thing. And whether it be right or wrong, whether it be right, if they did right or wrong, telling the truth is the way to go. It's because if you tell one lie, you're going to have to tell another. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And you know, you don't want to damage yourself like that. And then it kills your credibility. Young men, if you lie to your parents, it kills your credibility. It kills your integrity. And then they can't give you the freedoms that they really want to give you. So, I'll say this, and you know, I had to tell you this when I said tell the Lord about it, he gave right to me what to tell you. He said, and what the Lord is telling me is tell them it's right to tell the truth. It's because they want to establish, see, truth establishes credibility. And then when he tells you that he's going to do something, because you trust him, then you can give a little more leeway, and then you ain't got to really put the clamps down. Go ahead. Anything else?
I have one question. Can you define for our young men what makes a man? Because I'm constantly hearing, I'm a man. And my response has been, when you're relying on your mom for bus fare, lunch money, you're not a man. When you become self-sufficient and able to support yourself, then you're a man. But I found with a 16-year-old, you can come to him and say the exact same thing. He'll hear you. He's not hearing me.
That's with our mothers, and y'all gotta understand this too. They hear y'all spill all day. One of the things that I'm learning now is be swift to hear and slow to speak. Sometimes just listen to them, and sooner or later, you've already gave him the definition of manhood. Even though he tells you, he already, in his heart, he know he ain't stepping up to the plate. So you really ain't got to fight about that. It's because you've already given him the definition. That was an excellent definition. I couldn't add or take away from that. It's because she did. A man is a self-sufficient person, able to gird his own. And he gonna say that because, you know, he tall and he might be having sex too. Did I hit a nerve? So they, of course, they're gonna equate the physical with manhood because they having sex and they done had a few orgasms. Can we talk, Frank? I'm sorry.
I highly recommend a book to you. Go to the Christian bookstore. I found it at the Walmart. It's by Bishop Jackson. So you call yourself a man. So
Always.
You call yourself a man.
Always books, that's right, Sister Williams.
So you call yourself a man.
Always books are in order and they're necessary to read up on. But don't preach at your son. Just live before him. You hear me? It's a very difficult thing because you see him going to in certain ways.
Yes,
I'll get to you in a
it's
minute.
difficult being female. We have a very open relationship. In fact, I have to tell him some things. You don't tell your mother this.
Right.
But trying to live that, being a female and there's no male in the home.
Right.
I'm thankful for the mentoring group. That's just two days out of the month.
Right.
It's not every day and then the home.
Right.
I mean, it's totally different.
Right.
What does he do?
Well, the only thing that I could say in a sense of that, and if you'll hear me and anything else I say, is that you're gonna have to be prayerful and ask the Creator for wisdom on how to deal with your sons. Ladies, I understand that it is a very difficult time for us as it relates to our sons and everything that we expose to in this society. And it is difficult being a single parent raising a male.
Yes.
It is. It's because we have so many things that's influencing them. And you would love for them to be influenced by something that's positive. But when they see so much, that's what they're going to behold. They become what they behold. And all I can say is just do what you've been doing. You plant seeds. Don't think for one moment, because adolescence is probably some of the worst time in the world for parents. I haven't reached that yet. My sons are still, babies, as I can see. And Ramel is getting there. My oldest boy, he got a little attitude on him, a little bit, He'll kind of stroll. One day I had to grab him up, and man, hey, understand, I need you. Hit that chest a little bit. But that's something a man does. Mama can't kind of, but you can get your room. Yeah. We on camera? You're supposed to turn that off. No, I'm just, no, but seriously, just continue to give your spirit. And believe me, if you respect him and if you do have an open relationship, he ain't gonna get it now, but when he comes 30, he gonna come back to you. He'll come back to you. He'll come back to you and say, Mama, I really appreciate it. Because he has to experience this. He has to go through these things. And he has to grow out of it. The Bible says that Paul said that when I was a child, I spake as a child. I put away. You see where the hope is? The hope is in what you know out of the Word. Coupled with your intervention. The things that you do and say as a parent. And I promise you, if you hold on and you consistently do those things, that your son is going to come around because you train him. And it's going to be all right. I'm a product of a single parent home. And I'm telling you, I gave my mother, the runaround. But to see her son doing the things that she do now, her labor wasn't in vain. Y'all see what I'm saying? All right, come on, let's give the Lord a hand praise for that. You had a question?
I just had a comment. I've been a mother for 29 years,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not new. I've made a lot of mistakes with my older.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to make it together, but the main thing is to get them in church,
Yes.
get involved in church.
Yes.
They have to pray, and make them pray too.
Right.
That I do, but it's to the point at this stage now, I am literally dragging him by the neck
Right.
to church.
Did
He
you-
doesn't want to go. I try to surround him with positive, as well as I try to surround him, let him see the negative.
Right.
And it's a chore. He's now dressing like this. Before I would make him wear the shirt and tie.
Mhm.
Okay, I said, okay, I'm not gonna argue with
Right,
that.
right.
You can wear this to
Right,
church.
right.
But it's rough.
Right.
It's rough, and we were getting into the Bible, trying to get him, well, I don't believe everything that's in the Bible. I said, well, you have to read it for yourself.
Right.
And you can't believe this and not believe this. You
Right.
can't do this, but you have to read it for yourself to
Right.
get an understanding.
and be patient. Mothers, if you don't learn anything else, learn patience. Don't ask for it because it brings more tribulation. Don't ask for patience, please, whatever you do, but learn patience. Patience is just maturity. You just got to be patient and you got to wait. You got to wait on it. I mean, the mere fact that you got him here and he's a part of this program and he's here with you tonight lets you know that's a step in the right direction. And yes, it's going to be a battle. Yes, it is. I know it. I sense it coming in our home. It's going to be a battle with that adolescence. But you know, just stick to your guns and don't give up. And don't, whatever you do, don't quit. And keep it before that altar. I promise you. I'm telling you, mothers, if you don't know anything else, let me share this revelation with you. That you all have a heart to the ear. Your voice, God hears y'all. When y'all get on your knees and you begin to pray about them boys, believe me, God will worry us until we get it right. With mothers, for some odd reason, my pastor was on drugs, and his mother stayed at that altar. He was on crack cocaine, 10,000 a week habit, a drug dealer, a drug user, and God delivered him. And he is a pastor of the church, and I mean a serious man of God. So my hope is in that, and your hope should be in that. Here it is, another young man that was in the street, thugged out, doing all type of stuff, chasing women down. God got a hold of me because I had somebody praying for me. I'm telling you, that's what's necessary. We can have these techniques all day, but the reality is the foundation that you already got, and that's Christ. I promise you. Don't give up. Amen. Anything else? And then I'm going to close.
Well, one other thing.
One more thing. Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead.
okay. Just one other thing. You've answered a lot of my questions and answered some other things. But my son right now is at the stage where he's doing a lot of weird stuff that I know I didn't do as a kid. And I know it's might be different between boys and girls. But like just messing with stuff, like break things, take it loose, and know how to put it back together. And you do that at your house, and you come back and you ask me my TV is loose, and kid just came for half an hour. And I'm not understanding, you know, I told different people, and a lot of times I keep it from you because other people think he's so intelligent and, you know, just such a nice young man. But he's doing some weird stuff.
No.
And it just don't be making sense to me. But then he'll tell me, I don't think nothing weird about that. Or if it's not costing any money or something, he was playing with matches. Of course, he understood that was just totally wrong. But other stuff he might just do that isn't costing any money, but it just seems psychotic. He slept in the coat the other night, it was hot. He slept in the coat and it was hot. I don't understand that.
There's
It was hot at 80 degrees.
the thing is too, mother.
See, he don't think nothing wrong with that.
Especially if he taking things loose, he might have a gift to tinker on things. So don't look at that as being weird. He might be, you know, a mechanic or an engineer. And my brother Willie used to do the same things. You know, me, I didn't want to get my nails dirty, but Will would get all up in the grease and the dirt. He used to be trying to get I'm like, man, I'm not about to get down in there in that oil with you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we all have our certain gifts and our talents. Now, with sleeping in the coat, there could be a deprivation of blood. There's a thing called anemic, and I used to do that. See, you would have called me crazy. Yeah, you would have called me crazy. That's how I laugh. But he could.
Well, I have clothes and comforters. You don't need to sleep in the cold.
Well, I mean, I don't know, and it could be a sense of security too. Do you often give him hugs or anything like that?
Pardon me?
Do you often give him hugs or anything like that? So you had to think about it. So maybe you need to start doing that. It could be a security thing also. You know, kids use blankets or coats sometimes when they don't feel secure. Yeah, I'm hitting on something, I know.
He said it ain't cold, that's why
He'll tell you anything. He'll tell you anything, because you done put his business out in the street.
I asked him, could I say something? He said yes.
Yeah. But anyway, of course, you mama, of course, what he gonna tell you, no? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I wouldn't say his dad about that.
Yeah. I see I see some other questions here. I want to talk about these just for a few minutes, and I promise you we'll be done. Because I like this. When I see feedback, that means you've learned something. And that's what I want you to be able to take away from here. One of the things that I want to talk about here that really hit me kind of hard, it says, what if the son and the boyfriend do not get along? I had to really hit that one because that's a definite no-no. If one of the things is, and the reason I say it's a no-no, if you're dating this guy for him to become your husband, then expose him to your son because he's your most precious commodity. And then what you have to do is you have to prepare your son for the relationship. Now, I know that seems kind of, hey, I'm grown. He just got to accept what he has to accept. You got to understand that he offsets, the boyfriend offsets the standard in your home. And it's a different standard now. And your son feels like he can't do some of the things or be able to express himself the way he usually would express himself is because he had this person here. So during the time that you're dating, you need to begin to prepare your son for the relationship. Yes, ma'am.
It's funny that you stated that because when my sons were younger, my father came to me and asked me to vow to him that I would keep my son under just my